Einstein was actually kind of. This will sound a little bit brutal. Einstein was an idiot. He was retarded, and he stole the large majority of his works from Poincare, Faraday. There's about a dozen others. I can't remember all their names right now. But while he was working at the patent office, he stole the large majority of his works. His theory of gravity is wrong. His theory of relativity is wrong. Einstein was not a genius. He was an average Joe who took advantage of a system that pushed him to the top and made an idol out of him.
Uh, who was Tesla and Tartaria? Like, and how do these add up together, man?
So Tesla was somebody that I think had a maybe a more aligned physical structure and soul that was able to tap into knowledge at a higher natural level than others. It's not a matter of genius. It's not a matter of um, you know it's not so much that you're born special. It's that he unlocked something probably through a process of epiphanies along the way. And I don't really like the idea that some people think, I'm a genius, or some people think, someone's smarter than someone else. I don't really believe in that concept. I think that everyone has an equal capability of the mind if they choose to pursue that manner of thinking. Um, but with Tesla, he studied in it wasn't Slovakia. It's some country that no longer exists down in that area.
Yugoslavia.
Yeah, Yugoslavia. So when he was studying down there, he was going to libraries and reading mathematical and physics books that nobody had opened for hundreds of years. Now, potentially, were those thousands of years? Were those tens of thousands of years? Quite possibly. And what was the source data or information for those books? So I think Tesla had, perhaps fortunately for him, found information which was both accurate and rare, and preserved from prior times, and he was able to interpret that and solve some of the world's biggest problems at the time.
Yeah, before we get into Tartaria, how would you compare Nikola Tesla with Einstein?
Well, so Einstein was actually kind of. This will sound a little bit brutal. Einstein was an idiot. He was retarded, and he stole the large majority of his works from Poincare, Faraday. There's about a dozen others. I can't remember all their names right now. But while he was working at the patent office, he stole the large majority of his works. His theory of gravity is wrong. His theory of relativity is wrong. Einstein was not a genius. He was an average Joe who took advantage of a system that pushed him to the top and made an idol out of him. He also married his cousin. You, just things like that. So I'm not an Einstein fan whatsoever. I think very lowly of Einstein. I think history will eventually and inevitably think very lowly of Einstein. He had no concept of quantum physics. If you look into Einstein versus Niels Bohr, if you look into many of the different things he was actually proponents of, Einstein didn't actually have much of an idea of what was going on in the universe whatsoever. His theory on black holes, which was wrong. I could go on for days about all the things Einstein said that were just simply wrong. Whereas Tesla was an experimenter. It's not so much that he had theories one way or the other that were good or bad. It's that he put practical application to the science and tested things, and he was able to, through engineering, get things to work. And that's um, it, practice and testing is always going to overcome theory any day. So Tesla was uh, phenomenally greater than Einstein.
Yeah, man. Do you think it was made purposely that we regard Einstein as this genius, and when we think of Tesla, we think of the car and Elon Musk?
Yeah, I do think there's components of that were intentional, and I think Einstein in his day was a convenient patsy, essentially for J.P. Morgan and for I forget the name of the broadcast studio that
Mhm.
is Bell and Howell or something like that. But it, essentially, because there was many financial interests that wanted to crush Tesla and wanted to crush not just free energy and things like that, but they crushed simple things like the public bus transportation in the United States. They crushed train transportation, just to support the automobile. They wanted to get a TV in every home, so they made sure that education was as unexciting as possible, and there was actually memorandums that went out to ensure that, so that they could put a TV to educate people because they thought they would replace schools with that at a time. So um, it was a very purposeful deception that was meant only to make money, and that was really the end of it.
Yeah, man. I'm saving the best for the last, and the best for the last are gonna be your inventions, because I think this is crucial to talk about. Um, my next question is, because I think you mentioned this, if I'm not mistaken, at Wits It Gets It, but you guys didn't get into it deep. Um, Tartaria. To those that don't know, and to you, what is Tartaria and why is it important?
So Tartaria is something that, along the lines of flat Earth and other theories that have popped up on the internet, and you could throw in hollow Earth and other things like that. There's theories about Tartaria where there was a lost civilization, not just 12,000 years ago, but within the last 200 years, which is referred to as Tartaria, and it would have occupied most of Asia and what is today Russia and Ukraine and Slovakia down through what is essentially the Slavic areas of the world. Now, as for evidence, what is often shown is buildings or technology that appear to be predating the 1800s and well ahead of their time. And you also see multiple structures that appear to have lower levels that were buried in the mud, what's theorized as a mud flood. Um, and we have seen maps and things and mentions of Tartaria in ancient history where it was certainly something that existed at some time and was there, and now it appears to have been expunged from history intentionally. And you can get into things like the World's Fairs, where things that seem unrealistic to have been built for a World's Fair, just to be destroyed 6 months later, um, seem, well, frankly, suspicious. And I don't know where I stand on Tartaria and the conspiracy, or whether this was a real thing and whether it was covered up. I haven't seen enough data one way or the other. I will say there's been a lot of things that suggest to me that there's some truth to it somewhere. And one of my inventions will hopefully give us a clear picture of what those truths are.
Yeah, just so people know that to people that kind of were tapped into the information, us Slavs, like from Ukraine and Russia and things like that, we've known about Tartaria for a long time, and we actually believe that Tesla lived in Tartaria, and this is why he brought a lot of his technologies uh, from. So to those that think that, oh, it just popped up out of nowhere, because in the Western world it did kind of pop up out of nowhere, but to us, like, we've known for at least 30 years, that's something like this. And this is why I sometimes feel so bad to like the English speaking world, because there are a lot of scientists, Russian scientists, that talk about these things in Russian. They travel throughout the area. They have archaeological finds and things like that, where this theory might be plausible, man. So that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, I wanted to ask you a little bit before we move on to the juicy stuff. What do you think about what's going on in Israel and in Ukraine right now?